coming for this morning. Suzie and I and Roger and Kimmers, we are delighted to be here. And you know, it's been a good year for ham radio. We're up 2% over last year. Last year was up 1%, and the best part of it is we're gaining, we're not losing. So congratulations to those of you that work with Sue and Chuck to help teach the ham radio classes, and keep them coming. So it's going to be, I think, a great year for ham radio. But to get started, since we're recording this, we would like to know your call signs. Now, we're not going to pass the microphone around, but rather on the count of 3, as if this were a pile-up on 20 meters. You might want to go QRO, but let's see whose call sign we can make out. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Kilo Charlie. Kilo 7 Alpha Zulu Juliet.
Oh, the Kilo 7 Alpha. That's called a tail ender. He waits till we all burn up our gear trying to get to that station. Well, good job. That's the deal, is let everybody go first and then drop your call sign in. Well, it's been a great year. Well, good news is we're not losing ham radio frequencies. We're actually gaining frequencies. Roger, come on up here and hold the other half of this. There we go. Get this right. This is the radio spectrum of all the different, there, that looks better, all the different frequencies, starting all the way at the bottom of the band.
Okay, now we're getting it.
To the top of the band. Now, I always wonder, this was a government chart, but then I understood that the government puts the lowest frequency on the top and the highest frequency on the bottom.
Yeah.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, anyway, so we're going to go away from that one. And what we recommend that we show, my wife Suzie will do this, and we'll need to turn it over like this. Roger, if you'll walk out in, there we go, walk out in that direction. What we do is we take that government chart, we cut it up, and now here is that same chart, but isn't it much more logical that down there at the bottom of the band, well, that's where Roger is, bottom of the band is audio, the little blue areas are ham radio high frequency. Let me ask, how many of you are on high frequency? Oh, wow, that's one of the highest. That is great. As we go higher yet, we get into the 2-meter band, the 440, the 1270. Roger, what's that radio you have? The Yaesu?
The Yaesu TX400, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, who has that dual band Yaesu with a colored display? The FT DX400. Anyone have that radio?
There are so many.
All right, okay, well. All right, anyway, 2 meters and 440, all the way up here at GPS, higher yet, 10 gigahertz radar. And I always tell our students, and I know Chuck and Sue do as well, remember when you're operating up here on the microwave 10,000 megahertz band, remember you're actually on a higher frequency than your microwave oven. You might want to be a little cautious about that.
Don't stand
And then they're listening to Mars way up here in the millimeter range. So this is the radio spectrum. Thank you both for giving us a show and tell. And the new bands are available, and they're down at, let me get my list out here, at the very bottom of the band, 135 kilohertz to 135.8 kilohertz. And our new bands are 472 to 479. So we've got 2 new bands, and luckily you folks are out here in Arizona, because to get on those bands, your antenna only needs to be about 400 feet long. Everybody got real estate for a 400-foot antenna?
Oh, yeah.
There we are.
Antenna restrictions. Well, we know you have them here, and we certainly have them in Southern California. The Parity Act is once again being driven by the American Radio Relay League, and we hope that this coming year we're going to be successful in getting both sides to go ahead with the Parity Act that will give all of us the opportunity to put up that antenna. Now, how many have an antenna way up in the air? All right. How many have hidden antennas that your neighbors don't? Okay. Yeah. It's always fun, those hidden antennas. You go on a new band, maybe 160 meters, make your first CQ on 160 late at night, knowing that all your neighbors are asleep, and you hear this on the front door after you've made your first CQ call. Hey, knock it off! Are you getting that same interference that I'm hearing as well? And then blame it on Chuck or Sue or one of the local hams there. But you got to have a little bit of fun with ham radio. And you know, hams were sort of a strange kind of breed. Ladies, does your husband answer the phone? QRZ. But guys, those ladies, those pretty ladies here in the room, do they sleep with their handheld radio all night long so they don't miss anything on the air? Yeah, you can always tell. The girls have a little keyboard you can see on the side of their cheeks. There you go. And as good hams, we know to late at night go into the kitchen and steal a power cord or two. And then we tell Kim when she's looking for it, I have no idea, Kim, and then they find it on Roger's kilowatt amplifier. How many of you hams here in Arizona have that secret drawer of stuff? Wall warts, come on, yeah.
You saw it.
And our better half says, do you really need to have all that stuff? And the answer is yes, that's what ham radio is all about. So, and you know, on those wall warts, I've asked Roger about this. How about a common wall wart that fits for everything, huh? Wouldn't that make sense? Some are 7 volts, some are 9 volts, some the pin is hot, some the pin is not. Oh, wow. Well, we're working on that, but that's the way it goes. Anyway, good hams are resourceful. How many of you hams, now let's be truthful, how many of your hams have ever stripped a number 14 piece of wire with your teeth? Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, those are real hams. Now ladies, watch this one. Because I know it's happened to you when you picked up the cast iron frying pan, not thinking that the iron picker-upper is hot. How many of you guys grabbed the wrong end of a soldering iron, huh? Yeah. All right. And you know, the real dedicated hams are those that have their watch set to Universal Time Coordinated, right? UTC. All I want is local time. I don't want to know what time it is in Greenwich. Well, things have changed for those that travel by air. How many have been lately through the TSA? Is that great? But by golly, they are protecting us, and we appreciate that. And I have no idea why I always have such a hard time on getting through TSA when I have things like this and like this with loops of wires coming out of that. And they always take me aside. And the latest encounter was, do you want to explain this? Well, we all know what that is. And I said, well, it's like a switch. I never should have said that. Oh, my God. He said, stand by. We're going to have one of our chief inspectors check this out before you even get near the boarding gate. And I go, it's just, well, okay. So the chief inspector came out about 10 minutes later. He was Samoa. I mean, this guy was like 6'8", and he goes, what do we have here? I said, it's like a switch. And he looked it over and he says, it's got a 9-volt battery, contacts. He said, you were going to go on the aircraft with this? And I said, well, I was hoping so. He says, we might even have to confiscate not only this, but maybe take you down for a little interview. And I go, an interview over something like this? And he said, well, he said, we're going to have to do something serious. He said, send me the letter C, if that's you call us a Kia. So I shakily went up. He said, well, send me the letter Q. Yeah, remember that Q was always hard on learning the code. And he looked at it and he says, Gordo, I took your class 40 years ago for novice. He said, now I wanted to make you sweat it out on this. Yeah, darn it. And I finally made it on the airplane, and yep, I made it with all sorts of different stuff. And we do this, you know, now that they've eliminated the code test, as Sue and Chuck, I'm sure, are finding out, and other instructors, we now have more folks wanting to learn the Morse code than ever before. So this is great, and we're all for it. Kids, we have them actually build. It's nothing more than a clothespin, 9-volt battery, and the Sun Alert, and a little LED. Oh, there's the LED guy right there, Roger. If ever you want to know about light-emitting diodes, Roger and Kim are the ones that tell you about it. Anyway, the kids would build this up, and the kids would start sending professionally. We put 2 fingers and our thumb around it. Isn't that the way we send CQ? The kids, they use their thumb. And I said, you can't use your... And he said, we do everything with our thumb. Yeah. And they pounded out code at 80 words a minute almost, using their thumb. So that's because of all the phones and all the text messaging. So now, guys, how many long-time CW ups there? Yeah. So I know you'll cringe when you see kids doing it, but this is new. This is ham radio. Things are always changing. So that's one of the neat things about ham radio is you never know what's going to happen next. Now, you know, American Radio Relay League has a new CEO. And the ARRL is thinking about some new Q codes. Now, how many know the Q codes? You know, like QRT, QSL, QRM. Well, Q phones, how about QET? This will be a new one that the league is developing. QET, call home. For folks like me, a little hard of hearing, so shout loud. QEW, bad copy, old man, earwax.
I need that one.
There you go, we all do. QDR, darn right, it's my frequency. I bought it, I own it. This one I like at club meetings. Not necessarily here, but certainly in Southern California where it's warm and muggy. QBO. Don't sit next to that guy at the next club meeting. Roger, QBO, well, I'll explain it later. And QBS, yes indeed, it is getting deep in here, isn't it? Those of you with outside antennas, you know the technique. You do them in the middle of the night when all of your neighbors are asleep. And the next morning they go, whoa, what's that? It's a lightning rod. Oh, okay. You tell them it's a ham antenna, and they'll be complaining you're coming over your toaster, over their Mixmaster. We have a tower, and the neighbors don't like it when it's way up in the air, but when I know the DX is going to be good, because good news, we're almost out of solar cycle 24, going to the new solar cycle 25. Yay. And by the way, speaking of 25, this is QRZ. You know Freddie, right up the way here. This is their 25th anniversary this coming Wednesday. So be sure and watch some of the YouTube channels, and you'll see all the activity going up there. Anyway, what we do in Southern California is late at night, we take one crank of that tower, and you just slowly ease it up. And about a month later, whoa, how long's that been there? Oh gosh, years. Yes, sir. Now, how many of you drive ham radio mobile with a, yeah, that's great. And you know the good ham, when we pick out a vehicle, we'll always be knocking on it to see if it's metal or fiberglass and what the noise is going to be. The all-electric vehicles are good, but pretty noisy on the air. You can always tell when someone's driving an electric vehicle. All the noises that come over the air. Anyway, we always try and get the antenna in the very center of the roof, if it's metal. Brand new car, you've got maybe 8 miles on it. You're out there that morning ready to mount your Larson antenna. You've got your drill bit, and you go, no problem. You go back to the dealer and you say, hey, at the car wash, I just discovered this big scratch on the top. I want a new car. Right, The good ham then, once he gets that big HF antenna mounted up there, knows that a good conductor, what's a good conductor? Remember them? Gold, silver, copper. You take an old copper toilet bowl float, put that on the top of your HF antenna as a capacity hat, deplete the static discharge, and drive around and let people go, "What the heck is that?" "Oh, he's a ham radio operator, huh?" And they all laugh until the big one hits. And this is what happened in Alaska 2 days ago. I don't know if they were laughing at the hams, because Alaska hams really do a great job up there. But I don't think our neighbors appreciate us until big ones hit and we're the only one that can get a signal through. Well, speaking of conductivity, we thought we would share with you some of the things that we use in our ham radio classes. Sky waves are those that refract off the ionosphere and come back down miles away. What are those waves that hug the earth? Huggies. Oh, that's good. That's good. No, those that hug the earth are called what kind of waves? Ground waves. So in classes, we like to demonstrate ground waves. Okay, ready to get, let's go on 75 meters. Ground wave, maybe out 400 miles back to the room. Did you get it? Oh, more power. No problem. Here we go again. No, too much resistance. I got too many buildings and things like that. So we demonstrate ground waves by doing that. Sky waves, we go like this. There's a sky wave. Go like this. Sky wave. These, by the way, are foam balls that you put water in, and then you go sky waves. Oh, you don't think I would do that? So we show in our classes the difference between ground waves and sky waves, and then for a little laugh we say, okay, let's have those radio waves back. Take your best shot. No good. No, not a single hit. Boy, all right. Oh, she's getting ready. Oh, you got me. Good. We like to demonstrate different types of ham radio equipment. Talk about a coil of wire. Coil of wire has inductance, right? We all know what inductance is all about. So we like to go ahead and demonstrate inductance. And yeah, come right on up here. Look in that tube. Look okay?
Yep.
Okay. Hold that with your right hand way up in the air. With your left hand, drop the steely down in that tube and catch it with your left hand. Oh man, you're quick. Let's try it again. One more. No, you have to drop it in the tube. All right, here we go. It's going to drop. Oh no, go ahead and put your hand right here, and you got to catch it with your left hand.
Oh, with my left?
Yeah, with your left hand. Whoa! Let's do it a second time. Hold it way up in the air. Second time. Oh! Let me talk to it. You have got to slow down. All right, let's try it again. All right, here we go. Drop it in. Hold it way up in the air and go. Oh, let's take another look at that. You might want to come over here so you're on camera. Drop it in there. And this is showing the effects of Lenz's law, all about inductance. Now, did you figure it out?
Magnetic ball.
That's right, a magnetic rare earth magnet. It develops a counter EMF. The counter EMF keeps that from slowly coming out. So one of the neat things about ham radio is you can do these great demonstrations with kids, and kids love it. What do we got here? Come on up here, Raj. Come on up here. What do we got?
Ground.
One big mama diode. One of you with the electric car out front, I had to borrow it, so you're not going to go over.
It's got ED too.
There we go. All right, let me get plugged in here. Hold on.
Now, do you have that for stuff you sell?
Some ED.
Don't mind the cat.
Don't mind the... Oh, I've got the cat. Sorry about that. There we go. Thought I was stepping on his tail or not. Hang on, it's getting warm in here. I tried to put on my most mild shirt, but what you see is what you got. All right. We're going to demonstrate the flow of electrons with our little flow machine here. We could hold that way up in the air, and go over that. This is good. You're going to like this one. You're going to like it. Okay. All right, here we go. Should be one more yellow in. There it is.
Bet you the rectifier goes in there.
All right. What kind, we have two yellow deals here. What kind of a connection do we have here? We have an open circuit connection. And here we now have a closed circuit. So what do we know about air? Is it a conductor or a dielectric? Air. Dielectric. In other words, don't do a thing. Nothing would cause current to flow in air. Well, that's the way we used to communicate in the old days, and that was the old spark gap. So yes, with enough voltage, we can actually get current to flow in the air. We've got the voltage turned up, so Glenn, do you feel lucky today? All right, now if you'll give this to Roger. Roger, your mission is, and you only have one chance, is to get this to light.
I don't hear anybody.
Is to get that to light with the right polarity. There's one side, here's the other, and everybody go, oh. So Roger, maybe turn that diode around, and now let's try it. Yes! All right. So, very good. Thank you all very much. This is great. Roger, would you go ahead and, this was one of Roger's very original conductance stuff here. And
LED strip, he means.
Yes, it's an old LED strip, and Roger, if you'll just run that all the way down the way there, just roll it out there. We try and always keep the attention of kids. Boy, kids are tough, but this gets their attention. And
That way?
yeah, let's go that way. And what this is light-emitting diodes. And as you know, hams have found out the hard way that not all LED type of circuits are quiet. And Roger says that he knows which ones are noisy and which ones are quiet. And the very neat thing about LEDs is, Anderson connection, watch this, bingo! And that gets the kids' attention. And this is submersible as well. So encourage all of you, if you're helping with a ham class, and Sue and Chuck is saying, hey, come and help do some demos. These are some of the fun demos that they have access to, and we'll make it a fun time for doing ham radio. Oh, this is a great demo. Yeah, we do this one. 1 inch in water, and it's showing Ohm's law, right? The water acting as the voltage. Once we get the voltage flowing, we now have current represented by the term ampere. And anybody sitting on this, tying it up in a knot, we now have what?
Resistor.
Resistance. So E equals IR. This is great because you get someone, dozing in the front seat. Just give them a little shot, a little shot, a little shot, and they come right to attention. So stuff with Ohm's law makes it fun. When, oh yeah, this is new. Hey Kim, look what I have. I have the world's greatest antenna. Kim, come right on up here. Kim, as you know, is the better half of Roger and Kim, and she's in telecommunications and so on. So we figured we can get the new antenna put together, and let's give her 1 minute. This is a cubical quad on 2 meters and 440. Now, what was the word? Wait. All right, here we go.
Okay.
So she's going to make a quad antenna. I'm going to tie my shoe. Hold on. Keep on going, Kim.
I'm trying. Am I doing this?
Keep on going. You can do it, Kim.
Hey,
Come all the way around.
come on, baby.
Okay. She's making, but remember, it's dual band. So what must she think about now?
Uh-oh.
That's 2 meters,
You're doing fine, Kim.
440. There we go.
Like that?
You get the idea, and they actually clip together
Oh, okay.
right there. There we go. And now you've got your own 2 meter 440. Give her a big hand. Remember those days that you would put this in the window, and that's vertically polarized, horizontal. You'd put it in your window. Well, for those of us that travel, we used to do that in hotel rooms to get a signal out on the local 2-meter band. Can't do it anymore because windows are now conductive. They got all that anti-sun ray stuff on them. So sometimes your antennas are not best placed right by a window, unless maybe you open the window.
John.
Good instructors
window,
always try
33
and
degrees.
tell hams about megahertz and kilohertz. Those are terms. Mega means what? Million, right? Kilo means 1,000. You get the idea. Femto, that's 10 to the minus 15th. That's what we measure the incoming signals from the satellite giving us GPS position and so on. So anyway, we know about micros. Micro is 1/1,000,000th. And if you had 1/1,000,000th of a mouthwash, you would have microscope. I knew it wouldn't work. I knew it. This Sue and my Suzie are nurses, so they'll enjoy this one. Half of a large intestine would be a semicolon.
I have a semicolon, actually.
How many have dealt with a new ham that came to you with a ying radio? They said, well, yeah, it came from China. Would you mind programming it? I don't read Chinese. There is no instruction manual for this radio. But we must learn to deal with the new technology. Some of the incoming Chinese radios are wonderful. The DMR radios. How many on digital modes? DMR. Good.
I'm working on it.
Yo, that's great. And some of those Chinese radios are wonderful. In fact, if you had 2,000 pounds of Chinese radios being imported, now with probably a small tax on them, if you had 2,000 pounds of Chinese radios, you'd have
1 ton radio.
1 ton. You're absolutely right. 1 ton. 1 ton.
John likes that 1 ton soup, and that's why that explains why. 'Cause he eats
So
like
there you go with
1
1 ton. Now, Bob Heil will be on Ham Nation. I'll be there, and we're going to be up at Fred's place on Wednesday. Bob Heil wanted to say hi to you, especially those tuning us in on Ham Nation. And we wanted to comment to Bob that, Bob, if we had 1,000,000 microphones, we would have a megaphone. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, you know your terms, all right. And of course, Kimmer's, she loves bicycling. If you had 2,000,000 bicycles, Kim, you'd have 2 megacycles. Oh my gosh. Of course, 1/1,000,000th of a fish would be a microfish. And of course, the shortest distance between these two jokes is a straight line. You won't get that today here at this meeting.
Straight line of BS.
We enjoy talking ham radio all over the country. We find pockets of real active hams and so on. And you can usually tell when we say, let's hear those call signs, what type of activity. And I'll tell you, this has been one of the best here. But we like to actually rate the activity level. So we take our conductivity machine, and we'll come over to table number 3. And Suze, I'll let you maybe help out here. If you'll grab onto one of the wires. Oh, Irwin, you can trust me, right? Any Southern California guy with this kind of shirt, right? My wife is now going to give it to Dick here. Or no, we're going to do a series circuit. So once we get the wires squared away here, hang on, almost. Let's give it to Dick. And then, Dick,
Which one?
Oh, you can do it with do it with that hand there. That's good. And look at Dick. He's holding on to the plastic part of the wire, not the active one. All right, let me have that one back again because we're going to go over here. And now Susie's going to have a connection from. Better hold that with your left hand.
All right.
All right. You can touch the wire, make contact with this ham here, make contact, and we now have a series circuit. But for some tables, it takes. You two need to hold hands, please. There we go. Like you're shaking hands. All right, let's complete this circuit. We're going to hold this up in the air. Oh my gosh, now look at this. This is great. Now for best conductivity, you want to spit. No, never mind. All right, come back this way. And I've never had a club have...
Keep going.
All right, we still need to make contact with
The wire.
Erwin here. Okay, come over here. All right, over here. All right, and behind you. All right, here we go. Over there. All right, here we go. Now, with your right hand, would you touch his left hand? And... Oh, look at that.
Work harder.
That is... No. I'm sorry, your signal was only S1. Suze, would you take this back? Bob, there, see old Bob there with a red shirt. Let's just do that one table. The whole idea is to have an S9, get it all the way to the tip top of the tube. So as they're doing that, and this is how we test for conductivity.
We'll make our circuit there. Hold.
All right, did we get it?
Kumbaya.
Oh, you need to hold. There you go.
See,
Oh, yeah, spit on your hand.
that's not bad. Let's try one more table. All right, the next table, if you got any water or anything conductivity-wise, just go ahead and attach it to your hand, and I want to see if we can at least get halfway up there on the scale. But these kind of demos are fun. Here's another demo I always enjoy doing. What have I got here? Capacitor. And I love to pass it around the room.
Oh no.
Jerry, you can trust me. And we talk about, oh, now that's not bad. Look at that. Wow. That may be our live table. All right, let's see if anybody can outdo that. We always talk about the 3-wire plug, making sure you always have, what's this connection right here? The ground, right? And which wire goes to ground? Green. The green. And we actually demo that by very lightly touching. But we always want to touch it with the back of our hands because we know that when we do get AC, we tend to clench. And then you can't let go of the wire. And then it's one of those really rotten days, right? Okay. Well, winding down just a little bit on ham radio, we're up at 750,000 operators that have been licensed with the FCC. The million operators, oh great, thanks so much. Just under 1 million operators, and we've got a good firm hold of all our frequencies. Mother Nature, and speaking of frequencies, how many go back to the days of crystals? Remember the crystals? Yeah. No matter what crystal you had, it was always like 5 or 10 kilohertz off of where you really wanted to pound some seed of it.
Kilocycles.
Yeah, kilocycles back then, you're right. So we'd take it apart, and what happens when you take a crystal apart? Boo! There goes that spring. Got it. Anyway, and what would we do to go higher in frequency with a crystal element? Like a contact lens, we would want to shave it down a little bit. So we would use what kind of toothpaste? Ipana, to raise the frequency of that crystal. And going the other direction, what would you put on the face of the crystal to go lower in frequency? Yeah, either an X or a smiling face or something like that. How many go way back? How many have been a ham for more than 20 or 30 years? More than, oh my gosh. Wow. If you had a Sky Buddy, who was the manufacturer of Sky Buddy? Helicrafters. Good for you, Sue. Wow. If you had a Viking, who made the Viking? Johnson, yeah. How about the Clegg? Oh, I just gave it away. How stupid of me. The Zeus from Clegg. How about a Globe Cheap? No one has ever gotten this. Globe Cheap World Radio Labs. Yep. And I joined ham radio with both Standard, who is now Yaesu, as well as with a company called SBE. How many remember SBE 33 and 34, Signal 1? Yeah! You guys really go way back there. Here's an easy one, FT 101. Yaesu, that's great. By the way, those of you on 2 meters and 440, we're getting Roger and Kim outfitted on the air with their new radio. And the new radio is relatively complicated, but what we could use are favorite repeaters that you know that can help end the boredom driving from here all the way to Los Angeles. So if you have some good repeaters either on town for Roger and Kim, if you'll let them know, we'll write down the frequencies, but we would sure like to know some of your local frequencies. All right, we're going to see a comet coming up in December, and those of us carrying over to Quartz Fest, how many plan to do Quartz Fest this year? Oh, that's great. Quartz Fest in the middle of land management land, BLM, and no, there's no electricity to plug into. There's no sewers to pump out. There's just a lot of great training, a lot of great fun. Thursday night, Kim and Roger are going to bring their vehicle there. We're going to see Roger playing all sorts of drums and who knows, keyboards.
Maybe.
Because Thursday night is our hootenanny, and we sure hope that if you get a chance to come out for the hootenanny. And Roger's also going to be doing a big display of some very bright LEDs. So ham radio is not in a holding pattern, but continuing to grow. And so is the challenge for some of the new digital modes. How many are on the FT8 digital mode on high frequency? Yeah, this is interesting. You get it programmed up and you can almost step back and let your radio and your computer make the contact. So next morning, whoa, I worked 32 states, 4 countries. No, your computer did. I'm for digital modes, but I sure like being able to talk just one-on-one with fellow hams like yourself. Finally, a couple last things. We all know in Southern California and other places that hams would greet each other on the highway when we spotted their large antennas by blowing the horn, the letter high, right? Okay. Well, in Southern California, we changed our car horns to gunshots, and now people get out of the way much faster. All right, well, I'm trying my best. I didn't make it to the gym today. That makes 5 years in a row. And I decided to stop calling the bathroom the John and renamed it Jim. I feel so much better saying I went to the gym this morning. Old age is coming at a really bad time. When I was a child, I thought nap time was a punishment. Now as a grown-up, it feels more like a small vacation. I need more nap time. Yep. Oh, boy. And why do I have to press 1 for English when you're just going to transfer me to someone I can't speak that language to anyway? And of course, if I talk to myself, sometimes I need expert advice. Huh? So I encourage all of you to continue to make ham radio grow. For those that are interested in some of the demos, and by the way, at this table here, CQ says we've got magazines for you. I've got just enough, so if you'll take one between the 2 or 3 of you, we've got free CQ magazines here. ICOM America says, oh yeah, we love Arizona. So we've got the new ICOM band charts. Oh yeah, and I think ICOM is going to be here tomorrow. Make that Wednesday up at Fred's location as well. And for everyone, I have QSL cards, and I'm happy to sign them. And on the QSL card, it says haminstructor.com. And this is where Sue and all of her, how many work with Chuck and Sue with their classes? Oh, this is great. We so much appreciate that. Well, what we have is, if you will see Sue and Chuck, when we take our break, I've got QSL cards and it says haminstructor.com. And we would love for all of you to register to begin to see all of the neat things that await you as a registered instructor, including volunteer examinations as well. So when you see haminstructor.com, put that into your computer, look it up, and there'll be a sign-up sheet. There's no cost, no obligation. And you'll be able to get my every third month newsletter that talks about what's new at ham radio. So be sure and get one of these QSL cards, and I'm going to leave them over here. So
That's nice, thank you.
yeah, so if you can just get as many out there as
And
possible.
I brought along some goodies in case you guys need anything right here. Some.
Yeah, it's got coax, the long extendo antennas.
Talkie.
Joke about German sausage is just the worst. So ham radio for everyone. Everybody has their own use for ham radio, some for emergencies, some for trading technical advice back and forth. But the big thing is to get on the air. In all of our books, and by the way, we do have 3 as a door prize, the books are indeed intended to get new students on the air, but more important is we beat them up in the book to say, getting the license is just a formality. Get on the air, join a local club, and make things happen. And this has been the motto of our books since the early days at Radio Shack. And Bob Miller called me up one day saying, hey, I saw you in Marine Electronics, why don't you write a book for us? So those that know Bob Miller, he's the one that got me going with the books for ham radio through Radio Shack. So thank you all. You have absolutely made our day. Be sure and come on up to the table for the freebies. But I know that you've got some club business to do, so we'll stand by. And from the end of the West Coast, we give you a very warm 73. And I'm around for 2 more days, so listen for me on a repeater that if you would give us the frequency and the tone, I'll try and come up tomorrow as well as Wednesday and as we go out of town on Thursday. 73 from Gordo and Suzie and Fred and Kimmers and Chuck and Sue that helped put this together, and a very 73 to your club.